Welcome, watchers, to a very, very special episode that we have today. More like part two series. The first part, we are actually doing a brand new game called Beta Red, produced by Scott Yules. He will get into that shortly after me. And pretty much what we're doing today is going to be doing Session 0, which is pretty much character creation and anything that Scott wants to go over about the world setting, and then we'll take a break after that, and then after the break we will get into actually the part one of the actual adventure. Part two, however, is going to be next Sunday at the same time that we're having this game, and it will be our full adventure. And then at the very end, we're going to do a special talks with Scott and the players that are all involved. And as well as we look forward to the watchers, y'all guys, input on if y'all have any questions that has come up, not only during this game, but also the next game. And just put it in chat, and I'll pass it over to Scott and see if he can answer them for you. With that, let's just jump right into it, and I'm going to go to Scott and let him tell you more stuff.
Thanks. Hello everyone. This is Scott of Heroic Studios Gaming, the creator of this game, Beta Red. Beta Red is a cyberpunkian game that takes place in a semi-distant, semi-near future time frame that's kind of, up to you and your players as to when it takes place. But essentially, the core of the universe is that robots were able to prove that they were sentient and became citizens, which, of course, mega corporations jumped on because they could hire them without needing to give them insurance or time off or food. And so they took on these robots to make them essentially all their workers, and humans became second-class citizens to the point that they almost died out from extinction. But humans, being what they are, decided not to just sit down and be destroyed. So they created a couple of ways to try to fight back. And one of the ways that they did that was to start cloning, which turned out very badly when a clone got access to a place that they shouldn't have got access to because they were able to bypass all the security features. And so they became illegal. And the other option was pharmaceuticals. And that worked. The drug Beta Red was able to unlock the organ rejection problem that humans were having, and so they could start grafting themselves with all kinds of devices, thus making the difference between man and machine very hard to distinguish. And so when we take over this game, we start playing, there will be flying cars and very small computer technology, but also robots and humans kind of working together to do various things. But our story doesn't follow the regular people who live, do 9-to-5 jobs and live normal lives. We're going to be following some mercs who live out on the street and fight for everything that they can get, so that they can get more money, augment themselves, and continue to get jobs and make money, and eventually die in a giant blaze of glory, or whatever it is that their goal is in life. So that's the world of Beta Red, and we should check out our players and find out what they're playing today. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
So we're going to start off by making characters, but we should probably first outline what the dice system is, so that you know what you're trying to do when you're making your character, so you're not surprised by certain situations. The way that this game works is you're going to roll a big pile of d6s based on a stat. So whatever your action is going to be, whether it's like flying a car or shooting a gun, there'll be a stat related to that, and that'll be the number of dice that you roll. So when you're making your character, you want to try to make sure that those stat numbers are as high as you can possibly get them, so you have as most dice as you want. And then the skill number will actually be the number on the die or below that you need to get a success. We call it the hit limit, because if you have a 3 in the skill, then 1, 2, or 3 are successes, but anything beyond 3 is a failure. And so that's a thing to be aware of. So when you're making your character, you want to try to work both of those as best as you can. But one caveat is that every time you roll a 1, regardless of whether it's an action or damage or whatever, it explodes. So it counts as a success or whatever, and it will explode and you roll it again. So damage is especially important, because you're like, oh, I did great, and then you roll 3 1s. You're like, oh, this sucks. Well, no, it doesn't, because you just roll those again, and so you can get yet more damage thrown in there. So you never have low kind of things. So that's what you're doing when you're trying to make your characters. You want to put as much into the stat as you can. And in this world, the way that the world essentially determines whether someone is viable, whether to give them loans, whether to give them jobs, is the Scrate P test, which is what your stats are if you look at them. It's strength, compassion, reaction, intelligence, toughness, expression, and then psi, which is your psychic abilities. Now, most of you won't have that unless you're playing a psychic character. So that's not something that's why it's a little p, because it's not usually tested unless someone presents those things, which only happens when you're a human being who interacts with Beta Red, and only in 1% of them. So very small percentage of people. So that's some things that we're going to be doing when we create characters. Does anyone have any questions about that before I get us going?
Nope.
Cool. Well, let's see. You had some ideas on what you wanted to create. So does everyone want to say who they are and kind of what they're thinking about playing? How about we go through that to start things off?
Yeah, let's do it. I guess I'll go first since I'm on the far left. Hi, I'm Belle. I was thinking of playing a clone. Specifically, my brain went to, I really wanted to name my clone after the actual genetic modification process that we have in real world. So my clone is going to be named Cass CRISPR, and she is, I'm thinking maybe a mechanic, but I can be swayed to other things depending on what the team needs.
Hi.
Okay, very good.
So I am going to be playing another one of Dave's special characters. Essentially, the name's Fingers, and I am a robot cracker.
We'll see how good you are when we make when we make the character. Yeah.
So
everybody, my name's Jose. I'm thinking about making a gangster psyker, but I don't know the name yet. So when I figure that out, I'll let you know.
And I am Oh God Bees, and I'm playing a human raised on in the slums and the mean streets at a youngish age, I should say, turned to a life of prostitution as a doll. And as she got a little bit older, was able to get out of that life and became a thief.
All of you have good reasons to be mercs. Life sucks. Let's get out of there.
Yep.
All right, so you, all of you have covered the 4 species in this game. In Beta Red, there are 4 types of essentially people that roll around. There's humans, robots, psychics, and clones. Psychics and clones are special peoples that are also pretty illegal, only because as a clone, you have all of the genetic markers of somebody else. And so that creates a problem if that somebody else especially does something, or maybe has you as their fall person. Maybe they specifically had you made so that they could commit crimes and then you go to jail for them. Or they're rich and they just want to harvest your organs and you eventually had to escape from it. But now you have a rich person's DNA, essentially. So it creates a big problem for the government of whatever governments exist, because in this fall of humanity, we've essentially resorted back to city-states, which have millions of people in them anyway. So it's like, well, do we really want to deal with overarching governments when we have 1 million people in one city block to deal with? So robots and humans, however, are totally normal and totally viable people and can do whatever they want. But there's also literally thousands of them in the same neighborhoods. So, basically you can throw a stone and hit a human or a robot. So nobody really cares about them that much. But we can talk about that. As a human character, so we have all 4 of them. So we're going to talk about all 4 of the species. As a human character, the stats starting that you would have for your Script P stats would be 2 in basically strength, compassion, reaction, intelligence, toughness, and expression. So the Script section would all be 2, which automatically makes a human a viable character, because an unviable character in this game is a character that has 3 or more stats with a 1 in them. So humans automatically start with 2 and everything, so they're automatically a viable character. They also the thing you're going to want to write down is that the hit limit for your soaking is going to be 2. So there's on the left side of the character sheet, or on the right side of the character sheet, there's like this hit limit section for the saves of soak, mind, body, and heart. Not in that order, but they're over there. The hit limit will be 2 for soak starting off. The cool thing for the human character that we're talking about here, our doll turned thief, is that you have one of your skills is actually going to automatically have a 1 additional number in it. So it all of them start at 1. But for a human, you get to pick one of them to be at 2 starting. Now, the form fillable character sheet doesn't allow you just to change it. So if you want to record that in the augmentation side, that would be easy enough. So pick a skill that you want to add an additional 1 to.
All right, probably subterfuge.
Okay.
I think I'll go with that.
Yeah, subterfuge is a good one for a semi-criminal-esque person. Yeah, very good. Okay, for the robot, because I'm going in order in the book, for Fingers does not get to have 2 and everything. No, instead, for the Scryte stats, the non-psychic stat, so everything else, you're going to have a 1 in strength, a 1 in compassion, a 2 in reaction, a 4 in intelligence, 3 in toughness, and a 1 in expression.
Okay, and the psi is 0?
0, yeah, 0. Your soak hit limit, so on the very right side next to soak, you're going to put a 3 in there.
3.
Is your robot. So you have, even if you have new skin and look human, you're going to be hardier than the next guy, right? Because you're made of machine parts.
Definitely.
So that's what yours will start at. So you can obviously see that you're starting off fairly intelligent and tough, right? That's a robot's basic thing. Robots, by the way, in this world are essentially an AI thinking machine planted into a physical form to react to the human environment. So you're basically an AI in a body, which sounds cool right up until some cracker comes along and hacks your brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did we put that +2 at? Or that 2 that you said?
The 2. So on the right-hand side of the character sheet, you'll see there's like feedback and stuff. There's right next to soak. There's another box next to it that says hit limit. That's where you'll put that. That's where.
Okay, so the 3 goes in their pool, right? And then
not in pool, in the one next to it.
Okay, so it goes in their hit limit.
Hit limit, yes, the hit limit. Okay. So that's the number 3 on the die that you need to succeed. Yeah. So in comparison. Yeah, so when you go to soak things without armor right now, if you go to soak things, then you need a 3 or below, so 1, 2, or 3 to succeed. Versus the human, which only has a 1 or a 2.
2. Okay, right? That makes sense.
So you have one more level of success. So 16% more chance of succeeding at soaking damage.
Okay, cool.
If we're cracking dice numbers down. Okay, and then we had a psychic on the table, if I understand. Very good. All right, so as a psychic, you have 1 in all of the stats except psi, which you have 2 in. So just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Right. However, what you get to do, because this is where the clones and psychics get a little interesting. As a psychic, you get to add +1 to 4 stats. So pick 4 of the stats, add a +1 to, and you can't add +1 to psi. That unfortunately has to stay at 2 as a starting character.
Okay, I think I'm gonna do 1 to strength, compassion, intelligence, and toughness.
Okay, very good. Your hit limit for soak, much like the human, because you are a human at your core, is 2. So that far left or far right box will be a 2. And to be clear, you will probably still have augmentations. The difference is that when you take beta red to get these augmentations, you will have a reaction because your psychic abilities get amplified whenever you're on beta red. But that probably won't be something we do in game unless we're playing a campaign or something. And that was one of the things that you did with your character. Then we might react to that. Maybe you blow everybody up with your mind trying to get a new implant. Okay, and then finally the clone character. Crisper, the clone character, has a 1 in all of the stats except psi, which is 0. And then you get to add 2 to 3 stats. So 3 of the stats you'll add a +2 to.
I think I'm going to put that in intelligence, reaction, and compassion. Because if I'm reading things correctly, is a mechanic that could be like a literal mechanic where you're fixing robots, or it's just like a street doctor where you're patching people up.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, the repair skill, because the man and machine line is very hard to distinguish. The repair skill applies to both meat repairs and like machine repairs.
Okay.
Which is right. And your soak hit limit is 2 as well.
Ooh.
All right. So that is what everyone's species are, and that's the thing that we're going to be dealing with. Does anyone have any questions about their species and things they want to know about them or anything? No?
Not currently. Not for me.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right, then we get to move on to the next choice that you get to make. You get to make a series of choices, right, when you're making a character. We obviously have started with the species, and now we get to choose things like backgrounds and roles. There are 6 backgrounds in this game. There's Backroom Project, Corporate Zombie, Criminal, Mean Streets, Picture Perfect, and Soldier. They basically all have their own pluses and minuses. So, does anyone have any idea right before, so I don't, like, if I know what you're aiming for and I can talk about it rather than just start reading them all off?
I was kind of leaning towards Mean Streets.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that would 100% go with what I'm... yeah, I was leaning towards Mean Streets.
Okay, that's fair. Mean Streets, yes. So as a Mean Streets, you're a good kid who grew up in a bad neighborhood. As a clone, right, that probably means something like you were discarded or escaped very early on. And so you grew up in a neighborhood where basically there was not a lot of what most people associate. You know, like there wasn't, maybe there was like shoddy electricity, maybe not a whole lot of grocery stores that didn't get knocked over all the time, things like that. So you grew up in a bad neighborhood, lots of gang activity. And so while you technically probably didn't break the law, as it were, there was a lot of shady gray areas, like stealing food to eat. Is that really illegal, right? If you needed to survive, like that kind of thing. If you were to take that route, then it would be a +2 to your strength, +1 to your compassion, +1 to reaction, +1 to toughness, and then a +1 that you can apply to any of the stats you would like.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we get to start talking about the skills. Along with those stat bonuses, you have some skills that you had to use in order to live on the mean streets, which were athletics, brawl, and fly. So each of those, athletics, brawl, and fly, will gain a +1 in the background category, because you're just, you're pretty good at running, flying, and punching people. Just the stuff you had to do to survive. Had to get into fist fight every now and then, had to maybe boost a car or two, had to run away. Like, those are the things that you had to do. Straight. Yeah. Plus, as a clone, right? You probably got made fun of a lot, so I'm sure there was a lot of bullying.
Yeah, I think I've got a little, I've got an extra little arm. Like, it's not usable. It's like I accidentally got fused with, another little embryo, so I've got, an extra little guy, coming off my shoulder, coming out in my armpit.
Mm-hmm. And that's funny enough, if you lived in the sprawls, that's pretty common for random mutations like that. I mean, those people had to move, where they weren't noticed, didn't get called inviolable. So yeah, that totally tracks. Does anyone else have an idea, or you want me to talk about them a little bit? Jose?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dave?
Go ahead and talk about them a little bit. That way also our watchers can get a feel for what they are.
Okay. Backroom Project is essentially somebody who grew up like, say, 11 in Stranger Things, where they were sort of in a lab being tested, being trained. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they were being tested for psychic abilities. They could have just been like one of those, I can't think of what it's called all of a sudden, like the thing for the Black Widow or whatever, where they grew up and they were trained to be the perfect assassin kind of thing. That's what Backroom Project is. And so the stats there are basically you have 6 points to sort of allocate into whatever stats you want, because that's what you were taught to do. And then the same for some skills. You get add a +1 to your skills of your choice. A corporate zombie is somebody who grew up in a company compound, was probably born by a family that worked for one of the mega corporations and lived in one of their ecologies. They went to corporate college, and their first job probably was for the corporation. And now they're doing merc stuff out on the street because of whatever reason. Maybe they got fired or whatever. A criminal is someone who grew up with nothing unless they committed crimes to do it. So basically, they're very similar to the mean streets person, except they got caught doing the shady illegal stuff and then just was full into it. Became an enforcer for a mob organization or just a street gang member or something. And they have a criminal record. And so they have some things that go along with that. They're a little bit tougher. They have a higher reaction, and their stealth, fortitude, and thievery are pushed up. Then Picture Perfect is the person who grew up in your white picket fence household kind of thing. They had a family. They went to all the years of school, probably went to college. They probably had a pet with a goofy name that the family always just loved, like their favorite pet or whatever. They have a bonus to their intelligence, to their compassion, to their expression, and they also are basically slightly techier and speak another language kind of feels. That's where the translate skill comes in. That you use that to determine languages and stuff. So that person was like, oh yeah, I had French and Spanish in high school kind of thing. They're the boring ones, except that they're also fairly cool if you play them right, because they're just there for the thrills, right? They're on the street for funsies, not because they have to be. And then soldiers is the last category, and a soldier is basically someone who grew up as a soldier. Maybe it wasn't necessarily like the Backroom Project where they were from birth trained to be a soldier. Maybe they were just in like the junior scouts or something, and then eventually they became an infantryman, and they just don't remember ever not being militarized. So they're stronger and faster and tougher, and then they're usually the ones that have a little bit of a bonus to like brawling and shooting and stuff. They're combat oriented characters. But that's just their background. You could be a soldier that's then like a face, and so you're like, I can shoot and punch things, but like I just like talking to people. It's fun. and you know that kind of thing does work out in reality. I have a friend who is in the Marine Corps who you would never know is in the Marine Corps because he's just the funnest, nicest dude ever. But he was like, oh yeah, no, I blew stuff up in Iraq. That was my whole job, was going in and shooting things and blowing it up. It's like, okay, buddy. That's kind of how I built this sort of thing. It's like knowing that that's a possibility. So with that understanding, what are you thinking there, Dave?
I'm thinking Fingers was a corporate robot, so corporate zombie. And
okay.
Something happened where, you know, he got thrown into the wastebasket and shoved out to file 13, but he climbed out of it and now is working for himself.
A newer model came along that could do everything Fingers could do, but slightly better.
Down with the regime. So.
Had a longer battery pack or whatever, so it could go longer between charges.
Yep.
Actually, it maybe its battery was worse, but it was a little sleeker. Like the camera was nicer.
Oh yeah,
but just barely. It was barely nicer.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's in 16K. And they're like, yeah, but can our eyes really distinguish the difference?
yeah, exactly.
And they're not selling the chargers for his type anymore. So it's like, oh, we might as well upgrade.
Yeah, we're not supporting the this platform anymore. So
he got so slow when the updates started coming in. Like he'd be halfway through something and he'd be buffering.
All right.
Okay.
As a corporate zombie, then Dave, you will add 2 to your intelligence. Add 2 to your expression.
Hold on. So 2.
Oh, so you're actually a little bit better at talking to people, despite being a robot. And then 2 to any stat that you want.
Okay, 2 to expression, so that's 3. So my intelligence went to 6, and my expression went to 3, and 2 to any stat. I'm gonna say reaction.
Okay.
So that would go up to 5. Okay, and then after that is, what do I get next after that? Is read person?
Yeah, so the skills are read person, search, and translate that you will add a 1 to for your background.
Okay, so plus 1. Okay, I see how it does. +1. Read person. What was the other ones?
Read person, search, and translate. Read person would be the skill needed for a few of the talking things to be able to like determine what their motivations are and stuff. Search is used for both internet searching and looking around you to see if you see stuff. And then translate is essentially the skill that can be used in place of subterfuge for different languages or just a language thing. So maybe you have a language software and you can Google Translate a bunch of stuff on the fly, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, then. The psychic character or the human character. What are we thinking for your backgrounds?
Criminal.
Yeah.
Criminal, both of you?
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Well, that makes it easy to figure out why you work together. Both are criminals. All right, very good. So criminal background, you grew up on the streets and had nothing unless you stole it, which meant that you had trouble with the law. We do know that one person became a prostitute. Maybe they both did. I don't know, and I'm not judging.
I mean,
but no, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Johnny could have been a client. Well, so I picture my character is probably middle-aged. Like, she's older.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't mean...
I don't know how old Johnny is.
That's Jose. That's your character, Johnny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been. I mean, I have no problem with that. But one thing I was thinking is that he was just this like low-level gangster, and the reason he became a psyker is maybe he got grabbed in the streets, and then now he got experimented on. Looks like he has power.
I mean, yeah. I mean, as a low-level gangster, obviously the push from other gangsters, oh, you got to get the strong fists or whatever like thing, right? And then that's fine. You just take Beta Red, you get your body parts removed and replaced. But for you, it's like they're like, here's the Beta Red, and you take the Beta Red, and then it was like, whoa, what is going on with my brain? And that's where the change happened.
Actually, that would make more sense because drugs.
Yeah. You had like a psycho-spiritual awakening when you took Beta Red versus everyone else who just takes it and there's just no reaction. They're just like, I'm good.
And I think I'm gonna take that +1 and put that in my string.
Okay. Yeah, so you have a +2 to reaction, a +2 to toughness, a +1 to expression, and then a +1 to any stat that you want.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do strength. I decided to make intelligence my dumb stat because I'm a gangster. I don't need to be smart.
No, you're also psychic, so you need to be psychically inclined. Yeah. And then you have a +1 to stealth, a +1 to subterfuge, and a +1 to thievery. So both of you are going to be good at sneaking and stealing stuff and lying to people, basically. I mean, as a criminal, it's what you do. Also very, very useful for a psychic to lie to people because, you're illegal. But anyway, but only because you're dangerous, because you could kill everyone with your mind. All right, final step in the process is choosing, well, not final step. The next step in the process is choosing your character's role. And then you'll know who you are. So we already kind of worked this one out. We have a mechanic, sneak, cracker, and then I'm not sure about Johnny, but we'll get into that. A cracker is the code slinger, the hacker, the character that breaks into things that are electronic and otherwise. And so, Dave, your character will have a +1 to hardware, and this is under the roles section of the character sheet when you're putting those numbers in.
Let me see where roles. Okay, so under role, where's role? Where is roles at? Okay, roles. Okay, so
yeah. So on the skills, there's it's like a big chart, like a big.
Okay. So what? Right? Okay. Role. Yeah. The next category over. I forgot. Okay.
The next category over. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
You're gonna add 1 to hardware. 1 to software.
Yep.
And then you're going to stare at them long enough to figure out which skill you want to add a +1 to, because it's a free +1 to add a skill you want.
Okay. Cool.
All right. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to about saves. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then we have sneak, right? That's what the. Yep. That's what your. Did we figure out a name for your character?
I'm gonna go with Doll.
Doll. All right. So Doll is a sneak. That's the burglar thief kind of person. So +1 to stealth, +1 to thievery, and +1 to skill.
Subterfuge.
Very good. That's very smart. Very smart. As it appears as there's no face in this group yet. So smart. Okay. And then CRISPR, cast CRISPR, you were wanting to be a mechanic. You fix people up.
Yeah, I think that sort of going with the clone background, I may have been a clone of I don't know, some doctor, like good hands, steady hands, the sort of thing that surgeons need. But I've got that little janky arm. Just a little janky arm. It's not even a useful arm. But yeah, I'm thinking.
That's why you were rejected, right? You weren't quite perfect.
Yeah. I'd say that as a mechanic, that's a good way for CRISPR to sort of accrue allies. If you get fixed up by someone, you're not exactly going to take kindly to your only source of medical care maybe being targeted.
Yeah, right. Okay. Very good. So yeah, +1 repair, search, and then skill, any skill that you wanted. So very good. Mm-hmm. Repair and search. Okay. And then Johnny.
Can I layer that +1 to any skill I want? Instead of a +1 to repair, it'd be like a +2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is fine. That is any skill that you want. So that is also, by the way, that is not, the rules do not specifically clarify that, whether it has to be another skill or can be a skill you want. This is one of the things when I made this game, it's up to the game master if they want to make it one way or the other. It's up to them. So if they want to say, yeah, it's fine, or if they want to go, I think it should be something different, that is them. That is a ruling kind of situation. All right. So then Johnny, what is Johnny? This gangster guy that's also
I decided to go with muscle.
Muscle. Okay. A psychic muscle. Should be interesting to see how this plays out. All right, so you're the bruiser, the enforcer, the punches people in the face person. So +1 to athletics, +1 to brawl, and +1 to any skill that you want. And I just realized I don't know that anyone watching at home knows what all of the things are. It's cracker, driver, face, mechanic, muscle, reader, which is a psychic-only role because that's a psychic thing, and sneak. Those are the different roles that you could be in this group. Essentially based it off of heist movies kind of thing. All right, so now that we've got that worked out, for Johnny, your character under their saves, we're going to jump over to the saves hit limit real fast. So under your saves, there'll be body, mind, and heart, right? On the right-hand side of your character sheet. These will be saves. We'll work out the actual pools in a moment, but we're just going to write down the hit limit because it's determined by your role. As a muscle, your body save hit limit is 3, so that's what the right-hand side is. Your mind save would be 2, and your heart would be 1. Essentially, whenever a save will happen, if it's a thing that's like poison or stun or something, you're going to be really good at that. And if it's someone trying to intimidate you or, influence you in a way, you're going to be really weak at that, which kind of sucks, right? But that's how it be. For Doll, your body is 3, your mind is 1, and your heart is 2. So you'll be harder to influence with emotions, but easier to read your mind. But also can withstand some shock and, things like that. And death. And then CRISPR, as a mechanic, your body save hit limit is 2. Your mind is 3, and your heart is 1. So you're going to be the intelligent one that can, resist mind control, essentially. And then Dave, as a robot's cracker, your body save is 1, weirdly enough, because robot doesn't affect the save hit limit. And then the mind save hit limit is 3.
Okay, so
and the heart is 2.
So this goes on the.
This is
right
not for
side.
the pool. This is the very right side, the hit limit.
Okay, so the body is 1.
Yep, mind is 3.
3, and the heart is
2.
2. Okay.
Yep. The pools are a different story because the pools are based on your stats.
Okay.
So these are just the number on the die that you need for successes. So it just means like you could have a giant pool for body, like a huge body pool, but only ones on any of those dice will count as successes, right? That's how that would work. Yeah. All right, now we get to do the fun part. This is the part where you guys get to be creative about your character. We get to talk about augmentations. As a starting character, you get either 1 major augmentation or 2 minor augmentations. And the difference is pretty easy to figure out. The major augmentation affects one of your stats. You get to add a +1 to a stat based on whatever augmentation you have. And that's going to be something like cyber eyes, cyber arms, big metal torso, right? Fingers that extend into multiple thousands of little fingers. Whatever your major augmentation is, it will give you a +1 to a stat. And then it will have some kind of cool effect, which we call enhancements. That cool effect is the fun part, where we get to discuss what it is and then figure out what mechanically it does. So it might lower your difficulty for doing cool tasks, right? Like if you had targeting reticle is one of the examples from the book. If you had a targeting reticle, then every time you shoot a gun, your difficulty will go down by 1 because you have this targeting assistance that is in your eyes, right? Like that kind of thing. So you get to have either 1 major augmentation or 2 minor augmentations, and the 2 minor augmentations are just +1s to skills. So it affects that success number on the die that you need. So it's kind of like 2 sides of a scale, right? Like one side, you can weigh it out depending on how you want to try to go about this. The downside with minor augmentations is that they don't give you any cool special side effects. They just benefit your skills and influence them. But that just means you'll probably succeed more often on those skills because of these minor augmentations. But here's the thing that I was going to do for this game and make it quite interesting to show that you are an experienced group of mercs who have worked together on the street before, thus cementing you as a team who works together. I'm actually going to grant you 2 of these augmentation options, saying that you've had somewhere about $30,000 in street jobs that you've done to have some other augmentations. So you will either get 2 major augmentations, 1 major and two minor, or 4 minor augmentations that kind of business. So we get to do that fun biz. But the cool part is they're free form. So just think about cool stuff you want your character to be able to do and how that is an augmentation. Let's start throwing out ideas. Who wants to start talking about what they want their character's augmentations to be?
I know what I want.
Okay.
So I think the first one, it was definitely the first one she got, and goes back to her background as a prostitute, which is pheromone emitters.
Okay.
And the second one, because I love Ghost in the Shell, is the chameleon skin.
Okay.
So like the thermoptic camouflage, which improves her reaction and specifically enhances her stealth.
Yes. So the way that would work for those at home that are trying to follow along, the pheromone emitters they give you an expression of +1. So the expression stat for the character goes up by 1. And then that also means that the difficulty for subterfuge things. So when we're doing actions and I determine the difficulty for stuff, the target number, which is listed as a TN in the booklet a bunch of times, the target number will actually go down by 1. So the difficulty will go down by 1, requiring less successes because of the pheromones the character emits. That's an example from the book. But then you wanted to do the chameleon skin. So the chameleon skin, was that what it was? Chameleon skin, right? That was what you were looking for? Yeah. So that would be probably reaction +1, right? I think so.
Yep.
Okay, so reaction +1, because reaction would be the thing we would need for like thievery and stealth and stuff. So reaction +1. And then, I would essentially probably make it easier for sneaking past things. So the TN -1 for sneaking past stuff. I believe, let me double check. I think that's actually one of the examples in the Game Master section.
Yeah, they both are.
Oh, very good. Very good. Chameleon skin reaction on stealth -1. Yeah, I was exactly right. That was exactly what I thought it would do. Very good. Okay. I accept.
I'm thinking for CRISPR or Cas, the redundant memory, just because search, that's important. It'd be kind of like either she can have some kind of implant where she is able to like overlay like medical sort of or like schematics, or something like that, so she can search better, like an analytic software. And then to sort of add to that, maybe the HUD vision, the HUD vision, which is the +1 to reaction, and then like the fly or shoot action. I think I'm going to do fly for that, just because I think with how CRISPR's kind of shaping out, she's kind of squishy. She can be the getaway driver.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so that heads-up display, you'll be able to not only do double like functions for searching and stuff, but then have that extra display in your vision. Very good. I think that would work out very well. So the HUD vision will give you a +1 to reaction, and then the redundant memory is +1 to intelligence. And then, we'll have some extra benefits, as we discussed. Okay.
So,
Dave, it feels like you're about to... you are.
I am.
Yeah, I was like, it feels like Dave is about to talk. Yeah.
I think definitely for the major augmentation for fingers is most obvious because of his name. I think I want the whole, like R2-D2 thing, but instead of just the port coming out, it's his fingers, where he can like basically as a corporate robot, essentially he had to link into multiple things at once and just do multiple processings and whatnot. And his links were his fingers, basically. He just, and then either had to type or like actually plug in. So like a bunch of USB ports at once, you know? So
bunch of USB ports at once. Do you think that affects fingers' intelligence or their reaction?
Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe reaction.
Okay.
Yeah, reaction, because he would have to process it quicker and things of that nature. So
okay, then add a +1 to the reaction for fingers for his USB slot finger things.
Okay, and then I would put that under augmentation. So
yeah, it'd be under the augmentations.
I'm gonna say finger ports. And then effect.
So the effect, because we added the +1 reaction. The effect for that would be, So this is where the mechanical effects come in. So it would be a skill action essentially. So why don't we make it a like a software target number, so software TN -1, making it easier for him to be able to like process programs at like a rapid speed, essentially making it easier to hack things.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. So we're so under augment, do I put that underneath the skill?
Sorry, the effect would be the reaction +1, and then the augment should be enhancement.
Reaction +1. Yeah. Okay. Hold on, let me rewrite that. So reaction +1, and then the enhancement
would be the software TN -1. That's the special effect that you get.
Software TN -1.
Yep.
So I don't put that up there where the skills are at, right?
No.
Okay.
That's just a difficulty thing that we track whenever you do those actions.
Cool. Okay.
And then the second one? Or the two, did you want to do 2 minors or just the second major?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward the memory firewall thing for the minor. And
Wait, for a minor?
Well, maybe not. Yeah, let's do major. What the hell? Memory firewall.
Because a memory firewall would be a major augmentation. Minor augmentation would be just picking 2 skills to give a +1 to.
Oh, yeah.
And then essentially it would be like you have software or like just some upgrades in your body that help you do those things.
Gotcha. Yeah. So memory firewall. Okay. So yeah. Okay. And that would be what does that break down to?
That would be that you have a +1 to your intelligence.
Okay, so +1 to intelligence.
So then you would add that to your intelligence up there. So your intelligence would go by 1.
Yep.
And then the memory firewall would be a mind save thing. So you would essentially have a mind. The enhancement would be that your mind save difficulty would be -1. So TN -1. And that's actually good for you, being that you're just an AI in a case, but you chose to like your mind save's pretty good. So you just be able to like resist even higher. You're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, try to hack me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hack me, bro.
Hack me, bro.
See what happens. All right. And then Johnny, what about Johnny's augmentations?
The first one, I grabbed HUD vision. I was thinking he has cyber eyes where it's all mechanical with red lights in the middle. And then the second one, I don't know exactly how it works, but I grabbed the reverb skin. I was just wondering how that whole ricochet thing works.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is when you get attacked and there's damage, we roll to see how much you soak. And whatever you soak, so the damage that you just shake off, that becomes, with the rebirth skin, that becomes damage you actually deal back to the person that attacked you because it flies back at them, essentially. Because it's like
I like that.
Like Captain America's vibro shield kind of business, right? It's like ting, and like that ting means that the bullet flies back at them because you shook it off. As a muscle, that's reverb skin is a very good choice.
I like it. I was thinking I'm gonna go old school gangster and have a bat and like a shotgun or something.
Okay. What was the so it was reverb skin? I missed the first one because I was responding to a message.
HUD vision.
HUD vision. Okay. And you wanted to apply that to Shooting. Got it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah. So that would mean that with HUD vision, your reaction is +1. The reverb skin, your toughness is +1. And then for the shoot TN -1 for that, and then we know the ricochet damage thing essentially for your other bit. Very good. All right. So the reason why I did that and gave you 2 is to just establish that you are a crew together. So you shouldn't really have to worry about like, how do I know this guy? Well, you've run on the streets with them for a while and thus have made some money and then got some augmentations. So you're quite aware of what the others can do, even though you as a player maybe aren't entirely sure what your character can do. The other players are at least aware of what you can do. All right, so we've got through that. Now we get to do the math part. And by the way, if you ever get I can't see it, but the Beta Red book, I wrote it in a very informal style. So the very first line here is like, "We're so close to being done, I can taste it." Now we just got to do some math. Yes, you were told there would be no math, but math is so easy a normie can do it, right? Like that's the thing here. So you're gonna do your pools. So your body save pool will be your strength plus your toughness.
It auto calculated it for me.
Oh yeah, right. I gave you the auto calculation sheet. So you guys are probably sitting there going like, why are we working through this? We don't need to. It's already there.
Oh,
For some
Everything
reason.
except soak. Everything
Yeah.
except soak was
Under-
calculated.
oh yeah, it is. Yeah, soap was the only one.
Yeah, that's because you have to add armor. I was going to
But-
make it auto calculate, and then I realized that you might buy nicer armor, so
Yeah.
maybe it won't calculate. Yeah.
So maybe you want to just go over for our watchers what each of those, how
Sure.
you get those, you know.
Absolutely. So body pool is strength plus toughness, and it's the save that you would use for death, poisons, gases, stun attacks. So the reason it didn't add your stats to the skills is because you don't add stats to the skills.
Oh, okay.
So the number on the die, that skill number is the number on the die for a success. The stat is the number of dice that you roll. They don't add together, so it's not stat plus skill.
Okay, I got you.
So I was responding to a thing saying that the skills didn't auto add the stats because they don't. That is not how the pools work. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So body save is for death, poisons, gas, stun attacks. The mind save is intelligence plus expression, and that's for mind reading, hacking, spike damage, things like that. And then the heart save is compassion plus reaction, which is what you would roll for fear, subterfuge, intimidation, interrogation, that kind of thing. So if someone tries to jump at you and scare you, it's a heart save. If someone tries to hack your mind save. I think you know where I'm going with this. Now, your health points is your toughness plus 10. So that's how many health points you got, which is not going to be very high for some of you. maybe an 11 out there.
13.
Yeah, 13. You're fine.
I'm sitting at a hearty and hale 12.
What is the health again?
It's 10 plus your toughness.
I got 15. Ooh.
Ooh, look out.
Yeah, not only do you have 15, but you also bounce damage back at people. So you know.
I like how I have 14, so I ended up being the second
Wow.
hardiest character.
Listen, the streets be mean to criminals. That's all I'm saying.
So you turn into Saria from Overwatch?
And then you have feedback. So we'll talk about soak. We haven't quite finished that one yet because we need to buy armor. But we'll talk about that in a second. You have feedback. Every character starts each session with 2 feedback points. So in the top right corner, you'll have feedback. You put 2 in there. Unless you have some bit of swag, in which case you might get extra points. A bit of swag might be something like the book or an autograph from me, or maybe a t-shirt that says Beta Rad, whatever piece of swag you're carrying around to promote the game that gets you extra points. It actually straight up says in the book, the author's autograph counts as swag.
Awesome.
So just need me to sign your book at somewhere, and then you'll have some swag to get extra feedback. Somebody actually used it at a convention. They came in with their book and they're like, oh, you see, because I backed it on Kickstarter. Here's my autograph. I was like, all right, well, you start with 3 free feedback then.
Oh, real quick.
But yeah.
I have to interject because Jose was showing this earlier. Show what you were talking about, Jose, with the tiny.
Oh yeah, see, there you go. The reference screen, the quick reference screen. There's another piece of swag. Yeah. All right, cool. So you have so then that's going to be that. Now the way that works is at some point in the game, if you want an automatic success, you will use a feedback point. You can use as many as you want in one go. So if you have like 5, you can burn all 5. I don't care. So you can use those as automatic success. The way that you get more feedback, and this is something for you to track in the game, if you ever make a skill roll that you don't get any successes on, thus incentivizing you to try things that you're not super good at, if you get no successes, then you will gain a feedback point. So that is how you do it. So if you try stuff, you're like, I know I'm not super good at that, but I'm going to try to help anyway, then you will gain a feedback point if you get no successes. So it's a neat trick.
The robot has psychic powers.
Tries, but you have no stat. You have 0 in the stats. So you wouldn't have any dice to roll. But you could be something like the robot is gonna try to, I don't know, talk to somebody, and they're not
Talk
great.
to a ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
The robot's going to try to commune.
it's just a way to incentivize players to like try
Absolutely.
things they're not good at, or help other players out with stuff that they're doing, right?
Which is
Well, let me
totally
try to help
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
All right. So then you have 5,000 creds. That's the international recognized physical and cryptocurrency of the beta red world. Creds. Very lame, I know. But you have 5,000 creds, and you can spend them on all kinds of stuff. You have armor that you can spend on, melee weapons, ranged weapons, weapon modifications. You actually get to start with one free weapon modification because I wanted to be fun like that, but that's the thing in the book. You have tech that you can buy. You have drones that you could possibly buy, though it will suck up a lot of your money to buy a drone. There are medical assistance things like zap patches and med patches and stuff, and things like that. There are vehicles that you can buy, and there are consumables like drugs or grenades that you can buy depending on who you are and what you do. Drugs are weird because they basically give you stat bonuses in exchange for other stat negatives. So you'll get like 2 to your strength, but a -2 to your intelligence, right? You become dumb but strong for a scene, and so like you get to do that. Fortunately, the way that consumables work is you would roll a usage die, and so you don't have to worry about like how many pills you have. You just have a thing of pills, and then at some point they will run out, and then you'll have to buy more. That's how it works. But the same with grenades. But it's also the same for ammo. So with your 5,000 creds, there are things that you might want to buy. Anyone have any ideas on what they might want to buy?
Zap patches.
Yep. Yeah, on that. I was looking at the bow. Could that be flavored into a crossbow?
Yes.
Okay, it's a crossbow then for me.
Okay.
So
A crossbow costing you 1,500 creds out of your 5,000.
Yep.
Okay.
I think they've got to have. Cass has to have something decently good in case anyone tries to like shake her up. Like for world equivalent of opiates.
Yeah.
So,
So that's 2d6 damage plus your strength. What is your strength?
3.
3. Oh, that's not bad. Not bad.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay.
So for the watchers, what I mentioned earlier, zap patches are for robots and med patches is for everyone else. And it only costs 50 cred. So
Yes, they're basically what you use to stabilize injured people. So if you get damaged, right, and you get down to 0 health points, you are unconscious but stable. However, if you get below 0, then you're dying. And so a zap patch would be what you'd slap on a robot to jump them back up to 0 health points, and then they're stable again. And so then it's just a matter of like repairing them or I guess repairing them, because robots don't naturally heal; they have to be repaired. And so, but it gives you time because they're not dying, so they're not just like slowly like losing battery life until they're dead. They just he would just be sitting there being like, you slapped on some duct tape, and now he's doing okay. And that's what a zap patch does. Med patch works the same for humans. Like throw on a weird stimulant bandage that gets them back up to 0, and then they're stabilized. And you're not dying.
I do have a question. Since I am a robot and I'm built to hack and whatnot, you have common tech down here.
Yes.
Does that just add to what I do, or is that I have to get that?
No. So, well, maybe. You will definitely need something that will interface with the technical world, right? So you would need at least, at the very minimum, a click to be able to interact with the internet. Otherwise... Right. Now, for you as a robot, that click can be an internal click. Like it doesn't have to be the wrist watch of click that everyone else uses.
That's what
it can be an internal click. But then also the deck, which is the hacking machine, essentially, you can hack with a click if you have the skills, right? That's not a problem. Yeah. Okay. But the deck just adds, decreases the difficulty for all of the hacking things that you do. So you would be better at hacking stuff with deck. Once again, as a robot, that can be internal. It doesn't have to be an external device.
Cool. Okay. So I'll go ahead and do that then. Deck, internal.
Mm-hmm. And then the visor, which connects to either your click or deck, just lets you go into VR and stuff. Yeah. And also grants you a +1 for your intelligence for all software roles, making you thus better at hacking. This neat combination, but that is 3,000 creds. So all told, if you had like a deck and the visors. That'd be 4,500 of your 5,000 credits, so all in one shot. So it's maybe not the best idea to do that, because there are other things like basic chips that you can buy a couple of that will help you out with hacking as well. So
okay, cool. Yeah,
kind of a question about how you want to play that. And like three basic chips is still cheaper than buying one visor.
Okay, gotcha.
You can actually buy 6 basic chips to be the same price as one visor. So,
So where's
economies
chips
of
at?
scale, I guess. Basic chip. It's the very first one on the tech comment.
Basic chip. Yep. Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, 500. Yeah.
It's basically a subroutine. It's basically a program that does a thing for you, and then it decreases your difficulty when you're doing those actions. So you would basically buy like a chip. So looking at the hacking actions, for example, you would buy or cracking action, you'd buy like a bypass chip and a sleaze chip, right? That kind of thing. And that's what would happen. Difficulty would be down for those actions that you took.
Okay, awesome.
For the weapon modifications,
Yes.
you said that we get one modification. Could that be either the weapon modification or the munition modification?
Correct. Yep. It could be either one. So you can either have an accuracy modification, a balance modification, a functionality modification, or a munition on modifications right there. Right. So one of those 4. And then the munition modifications are various. There are a bunch of different things, turning it into flechette ammo, turning it into high-powered ammo, turning it into like lasers. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Laser is cool, but like also makes it harder for you to like do the thing you're trying to do because it's a laser instead of a straight shot. You're not just shooting a projectile at something. You're like laser cutting the sky, for example.
It's like in movies when like people see the red dot on their forehead and they know like, oh god, a sniper, and then they dodge before the sniper's able to get them.
Yeah. Exactly. So armor might be something that some of you, if not all of you, might want to pick up, by the way. Normal armor is probably the only thing you can afford because hardened armor costs 15,000. You don't have that much money. Normal armor would increase your soak by 2. So then you would have your toughness plus 2 essentially would be your soak. That's why it's not written there. And then your soak hit limit would go up by 1. So if you had a 2, it's now 3. If you had a 3, it's now 4. That kind of thing. So those of you,
soak
especially,
limit is plus 2. So if I had 2 soak at my hit limit, I would add 2 to that.
No,
for my pool.
the soak pool is plus 2. The hit limit's plus 1. So if you had 2, it would go up. The hit limit would go up to 3.
So is normal armor obvious or look out of place?
No, most people roll around with normal armor on in this game, so it doesn't look out of place. Like having somebody walking around with like a thick jacket that is like plated is pretty normal street fashion, especially on the out on the mean streets. Like maybe in a corporate setting, maybe it seems weird, but that there would just be flashy designer suits that have implanted plates in them, essentially, right? So yeah, no, everyone has some way to make their normal armor look regular.
So as it says, soak plus 2, soak hit limit plus 1. So that would go, the plus 2 would go in your pool and the plus 1 would go into your hit limit, or the other way around?
Correct. Nope, that is correct.
And its toughness is added to your soak pool too.
Yep. So it'd be toughness plus 2 if you went with that armor. So then that would be your soak pool. Is your toughness 4?
Yep.
Okay. So then, your pool would be 6 dice to soak things. What is Johnny's soak pool with his reverb skin now?
I don't know. I gotta figure that because do I add soak?
You would add the armor. So it'd be toughness plus armor if you had armor.
Okay, I grabbed normal. So
yeah. So then it would be, what is your toughness?
My toughness is 5.
All right, so then the pool would be 7, and then your hit limit
soak would be 7.
Yep, the soak pool would be 7, and then your hit limit next to it would be 3 because of the armor. So you roll 7 dice looking for 1s, 2s, or 3s to soak up damage.
Have enough to get a slingshot.
Okay.
Now
you're gonna get a slingshot, huh?
I may get rid of 2 of my zap packs then to be able to at least get.
I'll be carrying some zap packs too.
How many zap packs did you buy?
4.
It's not bad.
Okay, I'm gonna drop it down. That way, I at least have 900.
I mean, that'll get you a medium-ranged weapon if you want to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So,
Yeah, I just realized the crossbow that you're using, you're doing the bow set, so it's like a specialized crossbow with extra things on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's got the accuracy mod. Put that on there.
Nice.
So we get one of these modifications for free?
Yep, one of the weapon modifications for free. And if you didn't buy ammo, don't worry. You start with a basic reload, which is a D6 for your ammo. That's the usage die. Whenever you use it, you would roll a D6. If you got a 6, then you are out of ammo.
Okay, so here's my question. Can I have it all integrated into my system? Because I was thinking about taking a medium weapon and taking the munitions mod and then taking laser as my munition modification.
So you want the laser to shoot out of your arm or something?
Fingers.
I mean, sure, that's fine. What is your shoot skill?
Crap, probably. My shoot skill, is like a whole 1. So
Okay. And what is your reaction pool?
my reaction pool though is, so is it just straight up reaction?
Yes.
4.
Okay. I mean, you're rolling 4 dice. You're looking for ones. You could do that. The difficulty for like a basic shot though to like blast someone would be 4 successes. So you would need ones on all 4 of those dice. Otherwise, you just blast a laser wildly into the world and hope that it doesn't kill a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay, so we will
just be aware of that.
Okay, we will rethink that.
It's
Okay.
cool. It's cool, but you might kill everyone. Like,
yeah. Okay, gotcha. Maybe I should think about. Okay. Balance or accuracy.
the Johnny 5 laser backpack thing, just shooting wildly at stuff.
Disassemble, Stephanie. Disassemble.
All right. Does anyone have any questions about gear? Did they work it all out?
You had a question.
Yeah, go for it.
The drugs, would that count as stuff that the psychers use or no?
Yes. So you can, for the drugs, we can work out what they are. You have options for the stats that you want to benefit, but yes, they could just be a bag of beta reds, for example. Yeah.
The other thing is, I grabbed a medium range weapon.
Okay.
Do those get any modifications or just like a normal?
So so everyone has a free weapon modification. So on the next page after the weapon. So if you turn the page over, if you're looking at the PDF or the book or whatever.
So the munition one?
So if you look, it's got weapon modifications and munition modifications. And so it says right there is a fresh new merc. You can choose one weapon modification, which applies to one weapon for free. So you can, and munition modifications is one of those 4 options. You basically get 4 options.
Oh, I see where it says accuracy, balance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, all of that.
Does that
so
apply to
munition is one
melee
of
too or no?
It does apply to melee, yes.
Okay. I didn't know if it was just one
but
weapon.
you couldn't, if you have a melee weapon, you wouldn't be able to apply a munitions modification to it because it's just
true.
doesn't
I
have
get you.
munitions.
Yeah.
So where do we put the damage at for the weapon? Just write it down in some random area?
Just record it in the gear section. Yeah, just put like 2d6 or whatever. I mean, if you just write it down medium ranged or whatever, then I should be able to work that out because
I just put
they basically are categories. They're not specific items, right? They're weapon categories.
I was wondering
Medium
what the
range, small range.
the numbers underneath the gear were. 0, D6, D8, D10.
That's
D12,
your
D6.
munitions. That's the die, the usage die you have for your munitions for the weapon.
Okay, so you just click on that. Okay, cool.
Yep, should leave a little block on the thing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if you didn't spend any extra money for munitions, now the way that would work is, you start with a D6, but if you spend 100 creds, you get a D8. If it's 300 creds, you get a D10. If it's 1,300 creds you spend, you get a D12, and 3,300 creds, it's a D20. And the reason why it's so expensive is with a D20, this game doesn't really use that. It's mostly D6s. This is just a usage die, so you have to have like one extra usage die on the side. If you have a D20, the chance of rolling a 20, pretty low in comparison to rolling a 6 on a D6, right? much different sort of thing. But you would just drop it down. So if you had a D20 and you got a 20, then you would drop it down to a D12, right? And then if you got a 12, then you drop it down to a D8. So the usage die system, if you're not familiar with it, it's in a few games. I didn't come up with it. I borrowed it. Yeah.
So I went ahead and did the medium weapon with accuracy mod, and I'm going to go with shoot. So that brings it. So where would I put that +1 at? Under augments or rule or background?
Yeah, wherever you want to. If you didn't want to record it in the gear next to the thing, because it is a lot of information, you could put it in augments, right? Just put like weapon accuracy mod, and then you would know that it does shoot +1. So you'd have an extra, the extra number on your skill. So it affects your skill. So you actually might write that under the augmentation section for the skill.
I did. Effect.
Yeah.
I did shoot +1, and then I went ahead and put it under augment +1. So now I've got a 2.
A whole 2 and shoot.
Yeah.
So
I'm not
2 and shoot.
quite
Nice.
everybody.
Yeah. You have a chance of getting getting 2 successes on your blast on average, right? That's all right.
Yeah.
What's the difference? What is the specific action that is related to the basic chip in Common Tech?
So the chip is the actions are essentially whatever sort of technical action you want them to be, right? So specific actions. So what it is if you look at the list of the how to hack or how to crack section of the book, you would find a series of actions. I'll read them for you if you don't have that, because maybe you don't.
But it's all hacking related is mostly my question.
Yes, it could be other things. Is there a skill you'd like it to work for, so we can argue that?
I mean, it would be funny if I just really buffed up my repair. But I think I'd like to have something in either shoot or fly.
Okay.
Just so I can have some better reactions. I'm not sure what the group is thinking of in terms of dynamic, but I did say earlier that CRISPR could be the driver, secondary driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is totally fine, because in this world of cyberpunky and stuff, for sure there would be skill subroutine chips, right? Skill softs, as it were, if you're playing in other games that use that terminology. Shadowrun. But anyway, yes, same kind of concepts. Yeah, you would just be able to plug in the chip, and that would just be plugged in. The only downside is instead of it being a minor augmentation, which gives you a +1, it would give a difficulty reduction, right? Because that's what the chips do. So, for example, flying, let's say you're taking the action. So you have to apply it to an action. You fly action of, say, skim or barrel roll, right? Those would be skills that you could do, or actions you would do with flying. So if it was barrel roll, then every time you take a barrel roll, instead of you needing to have 2 successes to barrel roll, you only need 1 success to barrel roll. And that's how that would work. So if you were to do that, it might be best to apply it to the skills that are a little bit harder to do. Something like ramming or skimming, because those have a difficulty of 4. So that would make it easier to accomplish those things.
As opposed to something like the GPS system, which just grants fly +1 during vehicular combat and navigation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. The chips exist to be able to do a bunch of actions essentially slightly better. There's a pre-gen hacker character out there in the world that has a deck and 2 chips that is super good at hacking people's augmentations because of that. I have seen it work out pretty well in some convention games. So they're kind of doing the cracker stuff, and then there's a fight, and then they just shut somebody down, and everyone's like, "Did you just turn that guy off?" Yeah, he had way too many augmentations. So this is what happened. They figured out that they could do crazy things with it, so they ended up hacking the person, and then turning their fists on themselves. So they just started punching themselves in the middle of the fight.
Crap.
And knocked themselves out, and that was the end of that. And they were everyone, what? Sorry, guys, just had to do a little hacking. We're all good. Cool. Any other questions about some gear? Does everyone have their gear worked out?
Got mine done.
Cool.
Yeah, so,
Also done.
Do we want to each person go through their gear and tell what they got?
Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'll go with first. I have 2 zap packs, a internal deck, hack chip, information collect chip, normal armor, medium weapon that has the accuracy mod, so I don't kill y'all all when I shoot. And that's it.
Cool. I can go next. So I have a medium pistol with an accuracy mod, a switchblade in my boot, 2 med patches, a click on my wrist, and normal armor.
I have a pair of brass knuckles because I've got something in Brawl for some reason. I've got my crossbow with an accuracy mod, so I don't shoot all y'all. I have normal armor, a click, 10 med patches, 5 zep packs, and a basic chip with a TN -1 to skim while flying.
I got normal armor, medium weapon. I grab a bat, medium range weapon, 9mm, drug beta red, and then D10 ammo. And for both the weapons, I grabbed the balance mod.
Only one of them would have the mod unless you had an extra 10,000.
Oh, okay, I got you. That's what I had asked before. Was it one weapon or two? And
one. Yeah, one. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Well, if it's like that, I'll probably I think I'll do the gun so that way I don't shoot nobody.
Yeah, so that would mean that when you go to shoot it, you'll get an extra die to your pool. Very good. Do you not have a click? Does Johnny not have a click?
What's the click?
A click is the basic wrist communication device. It's basically a little mini computer on your wrist.
It's your cell phone.
Yeah, it's your cell phone.
I'll do that.
If you don't, it's fine if you don't have one. I was just asking because I didn't hear that, and so I want to make sure because it just means that it doesn't mean anything for. It just means that like if you split the party, for example, you'll have to stay with someone that has a click. Otherwise, you're just like I'm just out here doing my thing, hoping that they find me.
It just blew over my head.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Because like I also noticed that Fingers didn't mention having a click either. But Fingers it has a deck, and so I'm sure that he's got like Discord or some other chat program on his deck. Yeah, so he'd still be able to communicate with people. It's fine.
He actually only uses farmersonly.com.
So then it's fine. It's not a requirement to have a click. I was just wondering because it does create some fun interactions when things happen, and then you're separated. You're like, I don't know, I'll try to figure out where to find everybody.
Hey,
but it also means that you basically just hang out with them all the time in case or just go to the place you usually hang out. I'm like, well, I hope they come by today. I don't know what's going on.
You have an old school pager.
You just live life in the moment. You're like, hey, listen, if my friends join me at the bar, great. If they don't, well, I'm here at the bar anyway.
Well, that's very like you're like an older model of something. So like you don't have the SMS messenger. You just have your little beeper.
Very good. Okay, so that being everything, now we are actually done. That is character creation.
So I think it's that wonderful. Anything else you want to go over right now, Scott? To our watchers
no. I think I just want to make sure everyone knows. Everyone knows what the stats are for their stuff. Just because that is the roll that you'll make. So whenever we make an action roll, just make sure that you're going to roll. Yeah, I noticed that. Let's see how you're going to roll. You're going to roll the number of the stats. So if the stat is like Psi, for example, if you're doing a psychic thing, you're going to roll that number, right? That's the number of dice that you will roll, and then you're looking for your skill number on those dice to be successful, right? Does that make sense, everyone? We got it? I just want to make sure we're understanding.
Do another one, because I have 0 in Psi. So
sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about shooting. Since everyone has weapons and accuracy modifiers, the accuracy crew over here. 3 of you have accuracy modifiers on your weapons. All right. So for that, the way that would work is you're going to shoot somebody with your medium range weapon. You will roll the number of dice that is in your reaction, because that's what shoot is. It's a reaction. So that'll be how much was it for you, Dave?
4.
So you will roll 4 dice to shoot somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then the number of successes will be based on what the dice show. Total. So let me grab 4d6s to do an example. 1, 2, 3. I need one more d6. There we go. 4. So I'm going to go ahead and roll 4 dice, pretending to be Dave, shooting people. Dave, what is the number that I need on my dice to get a success?
So the total skill is 2.
2. All right. So I need 1s or 2s to succeed. So let me go ahead and roll the dice. I rolls 4 dice. There's a 4, a 4, a 3, and a 1. So the 1 is a success. Now,
Okay.
it is an exploding number, so I will take it and roll it again. So that's 1 success. And then I rolled a 2. So that's 2 successes. Right? And
Yep.
so you got 2 successes. And that then matters the difficulty. So if you were going to say blast someone, which is the basic attack with your weapon, right? You need 2 successes, and you got them. So you shot somebody. And that's how it works. And then we just roll damage, and then they see if they can soak it. That's where the soak comes in.
Yeah,
So when I shoot you, for example, you don't have a reaction to me shooting you. It's just whether or not I did a good job shooting you, and then we just figure out how much damage you soak. That's the mitigation.
So my damage would be 2d6, but say
Right.
someone's
So
shooting
2d6.
me. So say someone's shooting me with that. So 2d6, whatever you want to roll those 2 dice.
Yep. I'll roll that. So they're throwing it's a 6 and a 1. That's re-rolled, so that's 7 plus 5, so 12. They're gonna shoot.
Oh.
They're gonna hit you with 12 damage.
So and then you said I soak. So how does
Yep.
that?
So then you're gonna take. You're gonna make a soak roll. So how many dice do you have in your soak pool?
So the pool says 6, and the hit
six.
limit says 4.
Yeah, so that's the same thing. So I'm going to roll 6 dice, and I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, or 4 as successes. So 4
okay.
below as successes.
Okay,
So let me
4
roll your soak for you. So you have 12 damage. I rolled these dice. I have a 2, a 5, and a 5. So 2 successes.
2 successes.
So the 12 drops down to 10 damage that you're taking. 10 damage.
Jesus. And I only got 13 hit points. So
Yes. So you take 10. You have 3 hit points left. So you can see how this might be a very lethal, very quickly type situation, right?
Absolutely.
So, try not to get shot. But let's go with let's say that it was Jose's character Johnny.
Yes.
That's getting. All right, Johnny. What is your dice pool for shoot? What is your reaction?
My reaction is 5.
5. So 5 dice for the attack. And what is the shoot number?
3.
3. Okay, so I'm looking for 3s or below. So I have a 4, 5, 2, and 1. So that's 2 successes. And then reroll the 1, and it's a 4. So 2 successes. So it blasted somebody just fine. Your damage is 2d6 as well. Is that right? For that weapon? Okay.
Yep.
10 damage that this person does at Johnny. So Johnny, you now get to make a soak roll, trying to soak up this 10 damage. What is your soak pool?
7.
7. So I'm going to roll 7 dice to soak up. And what is the hit limit number?
3.
3. So 7 dice looking for 3s or below. So here's 4 of them. And then, so I've got a 4, a 5, a 5, and a 1. And then I have to roll a couple more. And then a 4, 4, 2. And then 1 more. And a 1. So it's 3 successes so far. And then I have to re-roll these ones. And then that's a 2 and a 3. So that's 2 more. So we have 5 total successes. So of the 10 that was shot at Johnny, he soaked 5 of them, and so he only applies 5 to his hit points, right? So you only took 5 damage. Now, here's where the cool thing is for Johnny's reverb armor. Those 5 that he soaked, that goes back at the person who shot him. Now, they now take 5 damage, and so they both ended up getting damaged by the person shooting at Johnny. The mirror version of himself shooting himself just took damage. And if it was a mirror version, if they both have reverb damage, it's like back and forth until eventually there's nothing left to bounce.
So when the dice explode, it's only on 1s, or is it on 1s and 2s?
Yes.
Okay, only
No,
on
just
1s.
once.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a reverse of that, where if you roll a 6?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Awesome,
6 just
awesome,
failed.
awesome.
So 6 will always be a failure. That's the trade-off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because you can never get your stat above 5 for
yeah.
your skill.
Okay.
So you will always fail on a 6.
Okay. So I guess, is there anything else that we need to go over? Anything else y'all have any questions over? Are we good?
Okay. I think we can
So-
take our break, and then we'll start
Yeah.
the beginning. How much time do we have, just so I know how far into this
we
getting?
we usually take about a 15-minute break. So
No, I mean, how much longer in the stream?
about another hour and a half. We're pretty much almost right on the money. So yeah.
Sounds
Maybe-
good.
Maybe
We'll get
maybe a
started.
little bit longer, depending on how enthusiastic we all want to be. So hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the players, and so. Okay. So with that, watchers, it is that wonderful, wonderful time. Like we always say, it is break time. So come back in about 15 minutes or so, and we start part 1 of the actual game itself. Hope you're enjoying. See you soon, watchers.
I'm actually going to bring the players in on this one because I haven't determined the name of the bar, and I wanted to get input from everyone. So in the beginning of this adventure, at the start of your mercs being out on the street in this 2-part series that we're doing, you actually all are together as a crew, and you're drinking at a merc bar that you regularly go to. It's a place where other mercs kind of hang out. Maybe there's some tussles and some I'm better than you at stuff that goes on, and then like well-known mercs are immortalized in drinks that are offered at the bar. But the name of this bar, I don't know, because I wanted to talk with you. What is the name of the merc bar that you hang out at? Up, there's muted. Oh no, it looked like you were saying something really awesome and profound, but
No, I was gonna say, like, I think it should be like the neon something, like it's aggressively 80s
The neon
and like
swag.
very like bright.
The neon synthesizer.
okay,
The
neon
The
something.
neon joint.
The neon swag.
Neon joint?
Neon hole.
Swag? Neon what?
Hole.
Neon,
Neon
hole.
Okay, it's
I
neon
like
hole.
The neon hole.
Neon hole. I think it's been decided neon hole.
Neon hole. Yes. Okay. So the neon hole, which is actually in the lower barrio portion of Chromeport City, the city that you're in, the city of various mega corporations, and on the coast. There's sections for partying and sections for poor people and sections that are just factories. Lower barrio is named such because it is the lowest district, the southernmost district of town, but it's also the unofficial welcoming district. It's where the ports are for various suborbital planes and things that people might travel on. It's where the major Shinkansen station is. But the lower barrio is also where the major red light district and gambling district is. So Neon Hole is one of the smaller, lesser known bars in lower barrio that is mostly for mercs. But it is surrounded by all kinds of different places. Karaoke, like Jasmine Karaoke, is there in Lower Barrio. The club Styx, which is a well-known dance club, is in Lower Barrio, as well as the major Blade Ball Stadium. Blade Ball is a game played in Chromeport City that is illegal, and no one should play because it results in lots of lethal encounters with people on the field. But this illegal sport is so well known that it is so well known that people all know about it, even though it's illegal. In fact, the mayor of Chromeport City is a champion blade baller because after being a champion blade baller and being the MVP of the season, he decided to retire because he didn't want to die and went into politics. And it worked out very well for him because everybody knew this illegal blade baller. And so he's the quote unquote champion of the people and got voted in. And so far it's just been doing what typical politicians do once they get in. They're just doing all the same stuff the old politicians were doing. But at least this one, quote unquote, grew up on the streets. And so that's who's in charge of Croneport City. But everyone knows that the people really in charge of Croneport City are the mega corporations, the various mega corporations in town. So you're all at the Neon Hole, and you are having drinks, talking, and hoping that someone will offer you a job. Patrons, who are people that represent those with jobs, so the middleman, or they're called patrons, they usually come to places like the Neon Hole to find people of questionable legalities, as it were, to do jobs that even if they get caught, the patron can say, I don't know who that is. And whomever the patron represents can just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have never seen these people before in my life. And so that's what you're doing in the bar, hanging out here, listening to whatever wacky music they have playing at the Neon Hole. Some of it maybe from like a long time ago, classical synth music, as it were, versus maybe it's more new stuff. It's just kind of a weird eclectic mix. There's a few different groups. The Children of Destruction biker gang, a couple of them are here. They are also technically mercs, so it's totally fine that they're in this bar. It's not just the bikers taking over your merc bar. So there's just a bunch of crews, that some of which you recognize, some of which you don't. And maybe within a crew, you might recognize one or two of the people, but not the rest of the crew that they're with at the table. So that's what's going on right now. So I'll turn the tables over to you to describe what you're doing, and then I will add some cool twists and things.
So do we have a patron we know we're meeting?
You're not actually here to meet a patron. You're just here to have drinks.
Hang out, all right.
Hope a patron wanders by.
So we've got to look like really, really capable. We've got to look really, really like cool and stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, that would be what you'd want to do to sort of attract a patron that wanders in. But also, this is the opportunity to describe what your character looks like and what you do when you're not on the job.
I can start. Cass Crisper. She is currently sitting at what I assume, since we're kind of a crew, our group table. She very much looks like a traditionally pretty blonde, kind of blue-eyed, very Americana sort of looking human. But when she raises her arm, you see her weird little nub moving around. And currently she's folding bar napkins into little origami.
Very good. Who's next?
So yeah, Doll strides in through the front door of the bar. I sort of imagine the front door of the bar too. It's like neon around the door to play up. It's like the Neon Hole that you're entering. And she's wearing these kind of tight leather pants, this like fitted leather jacket, but it's like a short. So the actual jacket piece is short. It doesn't go very far down the torso. She's got this kind of medium length hair that's shaved on one side, so kind of very cyberpunky hair, wearing a decent amount of makeup. So she's got very kind of defined eyes and very dark lips. And so she kind of strides in, she looks over at the group table, kind of gives them a quick smile before heading straight up to the bar, where she slides up on a bar stool and is getting the attention of the bartender.
And of course the bartender pays attention because Doll not just looks nice, but also emits some pheromones that create some attention.
She's got a bit of a magnetic personality. Yeah. Does the bartender have a name?
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? We'll call the bartender. Well, this bartender that's working tonight, there's a couple of them, is Slag, kind of a dumb person, but does really strong drinks, so very popular amongst the crew.
Yeah, so I think Doll walks up, sits sits down on the bar stool nearest the bartender and kind of like does the whole like lightly puts her hand on their hand. It's like, hey, Slag, what's new?
Oh, just, same old stuff. Working the bar, like it, drinks. It's a new jacket.
Oh, yeah, I picked it up last week. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, it looks nice. Looks nice. And he's like looking at your hand on his hand, not sure how to react to it.
And she's like, oh yeah, you give me my usual. And she kind of like looks up at the menu. Like she might not even have a usual, but she's like, yeah, playing it off. Like, give me the I'm trying to think of like some famous merc who has their drink on the board. The like, I don't know, the Jimmy Doom or something.
The Bustin' Dave.
The Bustin'. Give me my usual. The Bustin' Dave.
He goes to make your drink, and then you get the notification like from the bar itself to your click that the amount owed for the drink. Did you save any of your creds?
I did.
Okay. You can pay for it, or you can try to talk to this bartender, see if he'll like give it to you for free.
I actually want something else from the bartender.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna pay for it and give a decent tip. How much does the drink cost?
Oh, probably only like 5 or 10 creds, not a super amount. So let's say 7 creds.
All right, so I'll pay 10.
Okay.
Throw in a nice tip. And when Slag, makes the drink and puts it down, and I'm just like, so Slag, how's the patron activity in the bar today? Seen anybody new or interesting?
We're pretty slow. There was this one guy came in yesterday. He was asking about, he was asking what crews could do some jobs that were not so legal, but I told him that, most patrons' jobs are not so legal, and so that's not anything impressive. So he was going to come back, though. He's looking for some people that could probably sneak into a place or steal something. I wasn't sure. I get by his vibe that he wanted someone that could do something a little bit sneaky.
Oh, that sounds right up our alley. Like that's perfectly in line with our skill set. So it's like, would you be a dear if you see him walk in, just point out our table?
I don't know. I didn't think of you immediately. I probably should have just told him yesterday, but I think he's coming back. So yeah, sure, of course, doll.
Thanks. And she does like a little like brush of his chin or something before like turning and going to the table.
Okay. He's not sure how to react to that. I mean, he does get attention all day long, but that was a lot of attention all at once.
And with that, fingers looking like someone from the 1970s, with bell bottoms. He's actually got the fake afro, the styling shirt that's button open with the fake hair on his chest, and the synth hair, and the gold necklace chain with the medallion. He's already had his fingers out doing his hacking thing, because Particle House, the music that's playing right now, is his favorite music when he wants to wind down and whatnot. And that's why he's hacked the system to have it on auto loop nonstop. And on top of that, he has hacked the disco lights to shine in this one spot to start flashing and doing his thing. And after he's done, he jumps on the dance floor and begins dancing.
Okay, John.
All right. Fingers is out dancing on the disco floor when Dolls comes to the table.
Oh, hey, Doll.
Hey.
Cass looks up, and you notice that she's not wearing her... Usually she wears kind of like synthetic scrubs just because of the nature of her work, but she's kind of like dressed like, I don't know, like she's going out on the town or something, like a little crop top or something.
You look really good today. Are you seeing somebody, or what's going on?
Supposed to, but
well, good for you.
No, they ghosted me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it keeps happening. So, but a good job will take my mind off it. I am ready to make some money and be independent and not need anyone.
Well, I heard someone came in here yesterday looking, for something maybe up our skill set.
Okay. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. I've been making, yeah. Do you want one of these cranes? I have a lot of cranes.
Yeah, of course. They're very beautiful. You're so good at making these.
Thank you.
And so as they're chatting, Johnny pretty much puts down a shot that he just took, puts it in the bar upside down. And Johnny's about 5'9". He has a sort of like faux hawk with shaped in the sides. He does have 2 tattoos in his neck of I think they're called foo dogs, like the Chinese dogs. And in one side it's like one yin yang sign, and the other one's a different one. And then he's dressed pretty much like a mobster. Like he has the black and dress shirt, the black dress pants, black leather shoes. He has the overalls, and he's just pretty much not even getting up, and he's just throwing darts at the dartboard while he takes a shot and puts it upside down.
Nice. You want to make see if we can do a roll here to see how well you hit the target with the dart that you threw. Throwing would be athletics. So, I mean, maybe you did horribly. I don't know. Athletics is a strength-based thing. What is your strength?
My strength is 3.
3. Okay, so you're gonna roll 3 dice. And what is your athletics?
Is 2.
2. Okay, so you need to look for 1s and 2s.
Ooh, so
See how well you do.
I got a 4, a 2, and a 1.
4, 2, and 1. So that's 2 successes. Roll that 1 again.
Another 2.
Okay. So your dart goes sailing across the way from your table and hits right in the bullseye, on the edge of it, but still in the bullseye section, causing a few people that are standing there to be like, "Oh shit!"
Still got it. Take another shot.
There's a bunch of darts in the wall, but like the darts in the board that you've been throwing, they are landing relatively close to like the center of the dartboard, despite the fact that the board is across the room.
Well, I might as well end before I, get unlucky.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good. Throw another one, it goes pretty close. Enough that people are just kind of impressed, like the people that are paying attention. Of course, there's some of the people that are just like, whatever, he's showing off. I could do that too. He got the good table at the right angle. Right.
Haters.
Obviously gonna be haters. They're rival merc groups. And so Johnny, you're doing that. Fingers is dancing, and the two of you are working at this unpacking CRISPR's loneliness, essentially.
And I just tell them that is it wrong to tell them that I love them on the first date? Like, is that what's wrong? I don't think it is.
Well, CRISPR, you gotta slow roll it. If you come out like that heavy on the first date, then it's too much.
Okay. So like asking them how many kids they want, that's slowing it down a little bit.
I think CRISPR, I really appreciate that how important boundary setting is. Letting people know what you want, but I think it's just getting to know each other. Like you have all this mechanical expertise. Talk about that. And I'm sure you'll find somebody who will really appreciate the passion you have for your work, and find somebody who interests you as well.
Okay.
And then after a little bit, you can start getting into heavier conversations.
Yeah.
I do hate to say this, but if you're trying to have kids, this is the wrong profession. Just letting you know.
Well, it's just, what else are you supposed to talk about on a first date? Like, that's just like an opener.
You should let them do all the talking.
Oh, okay. And she takes notes.
Yeah, just shake your head or say, yes.
Then do all the talking.
Johnny, I have a kid. They're an adult now, but you could have
Yeah,
kids
but you can take
somehow.
care of yourself. She fixes things, you know. Fixing things don't stop bullets.
I can fix things. I can fix people. I can fix everyone, even emotional problems. I know I can.
I believe you.
So in the middle of this conversation, another person walks into the bar. Well, it's actually a whole group of people kind of come in through this whole conversation, right? People just coming in, some by themselves, some in pairs. A crew forms up at one of the tables. But this one person walks in, and they definitely stand out as the kind of person that wouldn't be coming to the Neon Hole. Now, occasionally, people get lost, and they end up at the Neon Hole when they're looking for something else. It's really weird because you have to go down some stairs and like underneath like a heat vent, essentially. Like you just have to like duck under a heating conduit to get to the hole. But for whatever reason, sometimes you get these like young people dressed in nightclub clothes that are like, oh, I thought this was the Neon Goal, which is a dance club or something. They're like, just wrong place. GPS took them to the wrong location, as happens. And so occasionally they walk in and see a bunch of mercs that are just like, and then they walk out quickly. In this case, this person walks in. They walk in and realize immediately that they're probably overdressed. Everyone's wearing street clothes and things, but this person comes in wearing a nice corporate suit. There are no corporate logos on it, though, so no indication whatsoever which company they might work for, which is a little odd since most of the corporate suits have like a hidden label somewhere on them, whether it's like black, like a slightly shiny blacker fabric on the black sleeve or something that indicates what company it is that they work for, because they're so proud of their corporate involvement. In this case, though, it's obviously hidden for some reason, probably because potentially, as you know, when you experience with patrons, they don't necessarily want to advertise who they work for when they're trying to get people to do jobs for them. This person walks into this corporate suit wearing these nice like augmented reality glasses, very, very much new on the market kind of thing. They kind of look around at everyone and walk right up to the bar. Slag approaches them, and in like about 3 seconds of conversation, you see him indicate your table. And the person looks over their shoulder and then seems to be ordering a drink.
If CRISPR sees this, she's going to quickly blow her nose on one of the cranes. And then she's going to like tuck that into her pocket.
Wash your hands.
Doll just like raises her glass and winks at Slag.
Slag nods back. And then there's like this like notification that like in the that Slag is actually asking if you want to do something later or whatever. Just a quick little want to see me later kind of thing. But you don't have time to respond to it before the guy gets up and starts walking over to your table.
Mm-hmm.
I think
It's over.
would Fingers see this happening?
Yeah, Fingers, you can see the person walking over to your table after leaving the bar. It's pretty obvious that he's making a beeline straight for your table. He's not trying to wander around people. He's not looking for an open seat or something. He's very much going to the table.
Okay. And in that maneuver that I do, I spin around and kind of slide on over to the table.
Slip into a chair or seat at the table right as this person arrives. Yeah.
And just kind of kick back, the shirt open and just chill it.
He has a glass with a dark liquid in it. You're not sure what it is. It definitely isn't the what was it? The drink that you had?
Oh, the
Bustin'
Buster
Dave.
Dave.
Bustin' Dave. Yeah. Buster Dave. Yeah, it is definitely not a Buster Dave. It could be something of his own making. It could be something that is one of the drinks you've never had before. But it is a sort of darkish liquid. And he steps up to the table and he says, I understand that you might be the people that are who I need for a job. Do you mind if I sit?
Please, of course. Mr. and Doll holds her hand out, like for a shake.
Let's just call me Job. Mr. Job.
Mr. Job it is. My name is Doll, and these are my coworkers.
He shakes the hand, by the way, as you offered it to him. You know that his hands are a little bit rough. He's got some kind of augmentation on his palm.
Mr. Job, tell us a little bit about what your needs are.
I have a 2-part need, and I'm not sure if the same crew would want or could do both parts. But I will offer to you the basic understanding of what I need, and then I will ask you to accept. And he's explaining to you the general process of working with a patron, so maybe this is his first time, because everyone that's a merc knows how this process goes. But he's like, after you accept whether or not you will take the first part of the job, I will give you the details of the job. Does that
I mean, sounds great to us. Let's hear it, you know? Can't exactly agree to something unless we know what we're getting into.
Fair. This is obviously all confidential, you understand.
Of course, and we would be more than happy to sign an NDA if that is required.
No.
I almost think that's like there's a little bit in her voice that's like, I recognize you're a little green at this.
I don't believe that will be necessary, as that would create paperwork to indicate that we're working together, but we don't want any of that.
So this guy looks really green.
He's acting very green. He looks very good.
Johnny's got to put his handgun on the table and then like pull out a pack of cigarettes. Do you smoke?
I only smoke Sim 6.
Right, so he'll light it up, put the pack back in his pocket, and put the handgun back in his pocket. He just tries to like he would do when he did that.
CRISPR is very much suppressing just the biggest, loudest, chestiest cough.
Doing so, he doesn't seem to react. If you wanted to try to do a read person with a difficulty of 2 to see if you can see any hidden reactions he's trying to hide from you, you can do that. Read person would be compassion.
I don't think I could do that. I got like a 1 in read person.
You could try. What do you have? You have 1 in read person? Yeah.
Yeah, my expression is 2. So.
I'd be compassion.
Oh, my compassion. Yeah, that's 2 also.
All right, so you could try rolling 2 dice, but somebody else wanted to do it?
Yeah, I'll try a read person. So that's compassion. So that's 4 dice for me. And then I need to get a 2.
Yeah, 2 or below. So 1 or 2 to get successes. And you need 2 total successes.
Okay. And that would be a 1.
Oh, you have 1. Oh, okay. Yeah. You have 1s.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get this one. Yeah, my eyes are still too puffy. They're dry. I didn't pass any of them. In fact, I got a 6 on one of them. This guy seems legit.
So 0 successes, is that right?
Yeah, 0 successes.
Gain 1 feedback. What about Johnny? How did Johnny do?
I got 0 successes as well.
Also gained 1 feedback.
Also, what does feedback do?
So feedback is automatic successes, so you can use them later to for successes. So essentially, by failing this roll, you gain some feedback, and then later you can use that to succeed at things when you want to.
Cool.
So one way of like incentivizing you to try a thing like you just did, but also to buffering it up so that at the end of an adventure or whatever, because it resets each adventure, so each session will reset to 2. It also means that at the very end you're like, you know what, I want to do this thing, so I am going to use these feedback points, thus giving you that chance to ramp up the success ratio near the end. But so neither of you get anything off of him. He seems to be stone cold, as if he didn't care that a gun was put on the table. So he's just he just calmly waits for you to put it back, and then he says, the first job, the information I can give you is that there's a piece of information that we need for the second part of the job. That piece of information is unfortunately airlocked and is in a vault, and we need to get it out of the vault before we can proceed with the second half of the job. That vault is inside of a building, and there is some basic security. The only reason why we can't get it ourselves is because they do have electronic security, and if anyone discovered who was trying to get it, there would be an all-out corporate war.
I mean, Fingers here is one of the best cyber security folks in the whole.
He looks around and says, well, I'll have to accept your word for that.
Are we expecting any sort of any forces guarding this?
There would be physical security as well as electronic security.
Good. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but I realize we didn't fully introduce ourselves earlier. So in addition to Fingers here, our expert cracker, I am Doll, as I mentioned. I am our thief, let's just say. Johnny here is our muscle, and Christopher over here is our mechanic.
I'll patch them up when they get knocked down.
But it does sound like there is quite a bit of alignment in the skill sets and the needs of this job.
It does seem like that, which is good, because I was a little worried that the bartender was simply passing me over to the pretty face that had come in.
Well, it was the pretty face that got you over here, that's true. But good for you that it wasn't just a pretty face.
I mean, why can't we be both, Why can't she be both? Both competent and a pretty face.
And it seems like that is the case, and I'm not doubting that at all, that both a pretty face and competent team. I was just a little worried. He seemed a little infatuated when he mentioned your name.
Yeah, I hope I didn't go a little too hard on him. So it's a fine line to walk, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
What is that, like the third bartender who's fallen in love with you?
They all do. It's just
a matter of time.
It's an occupational hazard.
I thought occupational hazards involved bullets, but it isn't my occupation, so.
There are many different types of hazards and many different types of occupations.
Fair. Do you accept this job?
What's the pay?
That's a fair question. All told, for a group of, all told, I was able to offer, or was told to offer, 30,000 creds.
I mean,
Christopher's eyebrows shoot up, and then she kind of puts them back down.
I mean, you did mention earlier that this could cause a war among the corporations. I mean, that's a pretty big risk on your part, and a risk that you're transferring to us in a way.
He leans back, realizing that he gave away something that he shouldn't have given away. And he's marking it in his own mental inventory. Okay, shut the hell up next time. Then he says, I see. That is a good point. What is your counteroffer for such a job? So now we're not negotiating, by the way. So we can throw out a number and then we can talk about how negotiations work.
So we kind of want to go over.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to go higher. Should we double it first and then work them down to 50,000?
Double sounds fine.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the negotiation would be you making a subterfuge roll versus a heart save on his part. So he is going to be able to make a save, but you will get to make your roll to see how many successes you get.
Right. Subterfuge
is there any way to help somebody or not?
Yeah, if you wanted to help, there's two ways to help. There's just the I helped, saying I helped, and then that would be 1/2 of your stat would be applied in dice to them. A subterfuge is an expression skill. The other way is to actually be like, I've got a decent pool nut, let me make a roll, and then we would add some successes.
Would this be a situation where you could use feedback?
Yeah, you can always use feedback.
I'll do the first one because my pool's not that great.
What is your expression pool?
Let's see, my expression's 2 and my subterfuge is 2.
All right, so expression 2, so you'd add 1 die to the person, whomever is making this subterfuge roll.
So I have a 5 expression for subterfuge, so I assume.
Wow.
I'm the rolling.
It's got to be you.
Yeah, and that would be 6 dice because apparently Johnny is helping you. All right, I got my dice ready.
All right. Pull up the die roller. So 6 die.
Yep. Looking for 4s or below.
3, 1, 5, 4, 3, 5. So that is
3,
4.
1. Yep, 4.
Oh, and a 1. The 1 explodes.
The 1 will explode, so re-roll that 1.
3, 1, 5, 4, 1, 5.
I rolled
Did you
another
get 2
1.
ones? Oh gosh.
So that's 5.
Okay.
It keeps
5,
going.
keep
right?
going. Yep.
And a 4.
Okay. So 6. He got 3 successes, so you absolutely destroyed him on the negotiation there. So you threw out 60,000.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna stare at you, and he's like, he could probably pull it. You can tell that he's working on his mind, like his eyes are moving around. He's thinking about whether or not he could pull it. He seems to be kind of judging, like he might be able to pull it. And he just says, all right, seems reasonable.
Yep. And so yeah, Doll looks around the table and holds her hand out for another shake.
Then he shakes, and you get a ping that he's trying to send a data packet to your click due to proximity. It's a pretty common thing to do. You know, he doesn't have your actual like address. He just got close enough with his click to send the data packet over to you. Do you accept?
Is it to me specifically or us as a group?
To you specifically because his hand is close to yours, but he would probably send it to the rest of the group as well.
Because I'd rather let Fingers handle any sort of...
Okay.
Yeah.
So after you don't accept for a moment, he assumes that maybe it's a fake click, and then Fingers and Cast CRISPR get the same ping.
Yeah, I immediately download it.
Okay. Upon opening up, it's
kind of scrolling through it idly. She's not a data person.
Upon opening it up, you realize it's the data information about the location, which he's obviously going to start explaining, but it's like a map and some stuff, as well as a cryptocurrency credit token counter thing for 60,000 creds.
Okay. And I
he
immediately
says,
break it apart and send it to everyone, the correct amount. So
That's 15,000 credits apiece.
Mm-hmm.
He says, all right, the file that we need, the data that we need is on a chip that is inside of a vault inside the office here. And he pulls up the map on his click. And you all know that you can display holographic images from your clicks. He throws it up so it's floating kind of in the air in front of him. So it's on the 6th floor.
Whoa, can you put that on a incognito mode? We don't want anyone else around here.
Yeah, Johnny will be looking around, making sure nobody's looking at him.
He pulls it away. He goes, well, you can view it on your own click then. But essentially, the vault is in the 5th floor office of the Robert J. Johnson building, which is in the... Well, you can figure it out. It's on the map. I don't exactly know where the building is. It is there. The file is in the vault on the 5th floor. There is security on the 1st floor, physical security, who watches the door, but they also have electronic readers. There are cameras. The 5th floor itself, from what I understand, does not have any cameras on it, but we believe that Johnson probably has a sensor near the vault itself. It is a small wall vault, and it needs to be opened. The files are not kept on any drive that is connected to the computer, otherwise we would have stolen them from the internet itself.
Do you have any preferred sort of methods that we sort of employ to get in there? You know, are you fine with us going in, you know, blasting, or would you prefer we go a little more subtle?
You would have to be some kind of Arab I would think it would be okay to go in blasting, but if you were to go in blasting, if that's what was required, then fine, but you will only probably have 3 or 4 minutes before the security company calls in their higher corporate contracts. So I would recommend going in as silently as possible so that they don't know that you're there. If you do set off the sensor near the vault itself, you will have 3 minutes or so before their backup security team arrives.
Okay.
The security company that they use for a lot of their work, and we believe is the security company that they're going to be using, is New Terra Tech, one of the Earth-based security companies that uses a symbol of the Earth. They usually protect various green corporations, but this is one of their jobs. They're not super high on the list. They're actually a B corporation, very low on the list of corporations. So they won't have a very strong security force, but they will send someone fast.
I'm already pulling up the schematics and looking at everything in detail and seeing what kind of possibility, what kind of safe we're getting into.
Yeah, it looks like a relatively difficult safe. The difficulty, well, it based on some information you have, you're going to guess that it's going to be fairly difficult to get into the safe itself. The security, though, for the door at the front, very easy. There's no data on the sensor in the office itself because they wouldn't have that information no matter how hard they tried, unless they went in. Which, if you're already there, they might as well try to crack the safe, right? That kind of thing. So there are glass windows on the exterior. However, this particular office doesn't have an exterior glass window, so that makes it a little bit difficult. But the rooftop does have some HVAC entrance or HVAC access points, and thus able to, from there, go straight through the ceiling if you wanted to. However, it is the tallest building in the neighboring buildings around it, so you're not going to be able to jump from one rooftop to another, fortunately. But yeah, the security down on the ground, aside from being people that roam, their electronic security is really easy to hack. It's basically the common stuff at pretty much every office building that everyone has. Just a little bit of a basic scanner for weapons, and then some probably cybernetic metal detector kind of stuff. Super easy to crack. If you wanted to, you could get through that. There are not really any loading docks or anything. There are no real other entrances. There are some fire escape exits as required by law. But that's about it as far as the security of the building goes. It does, however, also look like this building houses a bunch of different things based on like a quick little check of it. So there's a few different smaller companies and stuff. It seems very weird that this building isn't just owned by a corporation. It feels like an office building that is shared by several smaller corporations. But that also tracks with the security company that's a very low, almost unrecognizable level corporation.
It seems strange that something that could cause a corporate war would be housed in such a low, relatively low security, small corp building.
I mean, no one would suspect it,
I mean, I guess so.
Maybe these little guys got lucky and found something they shouldn't have.
Yeah, but even if it's kind of like a ruse, I would still expect it to be like a fronting corporation or a shell corp, and the actual their offices are like super high security, even if like the office building itself is like lower tech.
Right.
Could be temporary until somebody else picks it up.
CRISPR's gonna turn to Job and be like, so I think would everyone be with me if I said that we've agreed to take the job? And at this point, you might want to scoot along unless you have any vital information to tell us, just so you can have, plausible deniability.
Good point. I think I'll head out. Here's my contact should be in the data packet that I just sent you. Should be able to get a hold of me when the job is done. I can meet you here.
Sounds good. And once he leaves, CRISPR's going to turn to everyone and be like, "He just gave us the payment before the job."
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Like, is this like spendable stuff, or is he just really stupid?
I mean, I'm not 100% convinced that we played him. Things are not entirely adding up here.
Sorry, Johnny, what'd you say?
I think it was all her. And Johnny's gonna grab your hand for a second. I love you. I knew I had you in this scene for a reason.
So we established that Doll and Johnny have a past.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah. But I mean, is it are we pretty platonic at this point, or
is it like a one-sided platonic?
Or is it one-sided? I'm just kind of curious.
He was just more complimenting you of pretty much you had this guy in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Dallas just gives like, like a wink and a like kiss kind of thing.
After fingers
Still
is
worth the shot.
Actually, can I track the creds to make sure if it's legit? And possibly, is there any kind of fail safes to, alert if we spend them before we do the job?
Yeah, you could easily do a search on it, right? That would be kind of a search function. Yeah.
Okay.
Or in this world, are there like sort of built-in contracts to currency? So like the currency is put almost like an escrow where it gets put into like some account, but they don't get released until some condition is met.
That is a thing that could happen. Yeah.
Is it the kind of thing that's like obvious, or you would have to dig into it?
Well, it didn't seem obvious. Like, it's not a thing that you've encountered. Most of the patrons never just give you the money up front. You usually have to wait till you do the job. Yeah.
So I have 7 dice to roll. And I have a skill I have a lot in search. So I've got a 3 or lower.
Yep.
And that's garbage. That's garbage. That's garbage.
Is it possible for me to help out at all as a sort of mechanic?
Wow.
I'm probably decently familiar with payment methods. Like, if somebody has to pay me to set their leg or tune up their servos, like, I need to know how they're going to pay me.
That's true. Yeah, I'd let you do it. Did you want to add a die, or did you want to try to roll? Add some dice, right? Because it would be your stat halved.
Yeah, my stat halved, so that would be intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So that's 3 dice.
Okay, roll 3 more dice. Yep.
Okay, so I've got so far 2 successes.
As you guys, basically that represents you sort of walking it through with him and trying to see if you can see things that he's not seeing.
3 successes.
Ooh.
3. Okay. So the money it doesn't seem to have any flags to it, but it is not real. It is fake money that you just got paid.
Mm-hmm.
But it could become, because it's a cryptocurrency, it could become real money if someone unlocked it, essentially. If somebody put
he paid it in fart coin.
It's like 1 letter off from the real prestige crypto coin or something.
Like, there's Nova coin and this is Novo coin.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it was a mistake, but probably more of a failsafe. But also, he didn't tell you the second half of the job, so there is another part. So there's probably like a do this and then we'll give you the real job kind of thing.
Well, he did say he wasn't sure that it would be the same team do both halves.
Yes.
So we just need to do mediocre enough to have a choice on the next job. Not bad enough to not have us again, but not good enough for him to hold this money over our heads.
Well, we never agreed to the second half.
That's true.
Half. So this payment should just be for the first half.
Right.
Unless he fucks
I
us
mean,
over.
if I feel like if there are a bunch of smaller corporations that are in the building, we could very easily just get up there through the merit of looking like we work for another company.
Yeah, or
not to the vault, but to the 5th floor. Or
we dress like we're like some sort of maintenance crew, or
He said electrical security, the electronic security.
So
yep.
So did we get layout of the entire building?
A basic layout, not a full layout.
Well, I'm
just a lot of rooms they didn't know what it was, but they are on the blueprints, as it were.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, like, if there was because it's a shared office building, if there's like some sort of, like, if we could go in as like a maintenance crew for whatever system, that we could get access to this vault or item without going, say, through the front desk of this corp.
So you would need access badges, more than likely. The schematics do indicate, or at least some piece of information that they gave you do indicate electronic security. There's elevator controls, and there are door controls that require access badges, which is the main part of the security. But there are some cameras, just not on the 5th floor. So Yeah, you wouldn't need to go through the front desk per se if you had access badges.
They weren't able to get directly into the, system via hacking, but I think, Fingers, could you whip up some dupe access badges for us?
I can. It is my magic and my fingers do the action.
No one works the magic like you do, Fingers. Hey, high five.
As always.
Yeah, you can easily make some fake access badges. That's a thing that you can do with your fingers.
Is there a management company for the building? So like somebody owns the building but does not actually have offices in the building?
Correct.
Like
yeah, there would be like a landlord or just a property management team or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like we go in as a maintenance team for the landlord. So like it's not like we have to go in and be like, oh yeah, we're here for X Corp. And X Corp, and we end up talking to X Corp and they're like, we didn't call anybody. We could just be like, yeah, the absentee landlord who rarely shows up and only collects the rent payment is like sent us here.
If you want to do a search, you might be able to find out the name of the contracted cleaning company.
I'll do a search for that.
Okay.
So I've got 6 dice to roll, and it looks like I need a 2 to succeed.
Oh, I saw it.
Okay, so that's 1 success, and then second batch. And that is another success, so that's 2 successes.
Perfect.
And 1
All right.
1. So do I reroll the 1?
Yeah.
And that's not a success, that's a 5.
Okay. So Johnson Cleaning is the name of the cleaning company. They're just a generic, everyday cleaning company, but they are also quite large. They cover a whole lot of buildings. In fact, they are a AA corporation for specifically cleaning and removal. So they do everything from biohazard wastes to building cleaning. So there's so many of them as far as employees goes that more than likely that this particular location probably has different cleaners coming and going every day or 2 or so. Not like a single 3 team that's always assigned to the building. They're just so much that they do that they change around quite a bit. In fact, in this particular building is in Old Hill, which is the oldest district, the financial district, but it's right next to the city or Central Market district, which is where all of the mega corporations are generally located. This older financial district is older, and that's why it has this sort of weird setup with its corporations. But Johnson Cleaning is all over both of those districts, just hundreds of employees doing all kinds of stuff in those areas. So that's a major thing to note for you.
Does Johnny still work for the sort of mob type folks, or has he been out of that for a while? Because if he still has some contacts, maybe they could get us some, cleaning outfits.
I'm pretty sure I can get that. Yeah, I still got contacts.
Yeah, there'd still be some peeps that you rolled with back in the day.
Okay. Seems.
If anything, he can get us some different badges. We can, if one don't work, we can use the other ones.
Okay. And then maybe, Fingers, you can scan that building. Like if we comb through these schematics, we can figure out what sort of accident we could be there to repair or clean up after. Because if we say, a water pipe burst and they're like, oh, there's no water on the 5th floor.
Easy, baby. I can make one.
The absentee landlord is NIO Property Management, by the way.
NIO. And that's NAIO?
Yeah.
We just roll in there and it'd be smooth like X-Lax.
He disturbs me a little.
Cool. I mean, it sounds like you have a solid plan for getting in there and getting the thing, potentially, as long as you can get fake badges and pretend to be some cleaning people. Not too hard at all. Very good. All right, well, that sounds like a good place to end for this time and then start next time with you getting the job or doing the job. I will have So in the off time between our next session, there'll be some things that do happen in the background so we can start off at the right place. And that would be some of the stuff you wanted to do to prep the legwork for the adventure, which would be like getting some cleaning looking uniforms in a van and stuff, maybe some people knowing that from the criminal group, getting you that stuff, and we'll deal with that in the downtime between the two sessions so we can start off at jump point for going into the place, if that sounds good with everyone.
Excellent.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Well, this was a nice little setup. I hope you like your characters, and I hope that you continue to enjoy playing them in our next session.
Awesome.
I'll turn things over to Dave.
Yeah, thank you, watchers. Thank you, Flayers, for being part of this very special event. We will be going to plan on doing more of these on the XP Guild, where we have guest game masters and little snippets of their own game system. And if everything goes well, I do believe Scott will also be back to run some more games for us. So, crossing fingers. So, other than that, I guess it's that wonderful time. A wonderful time, as we always like to say at the XP Guild. Thank you, watchers, and see you next time.
Bye.